Welcome back once again, and as we have said in our intro, that one of our topics, which is the first one, is very important when you talk politics, when you talk economy, when you talk whatever you are going to talk concerning or focusing over sustainable development goals, you should talk green economy. And when we talk green economy, you should talk about Egypt's vision for 2030 and 2039. And actually, Egypt is strengthening its vision for those 17 goals, and actually Egypt was the first country to implicate those goals. At every occasion, our President, His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, have never spared an effort to be able to bring to reality most of those goals, and also Egypt was the first country to implicate them. Very delighted to be having here with us in the studio Dr. Hisham Meniawy, Sustainable Development Expert. Good morning, Dr. Meniawy.
Good morning to you.
How are you, sir? As we are speaking of the Integrated Sustainable Energy Strategy 2035 and how important is it to be able to effect our goal in effecting renewable energy and also reaching the ultimate goal of green economy. How exactly could we be able to work on that?
I have a strong belief that Egypt is already ready and capable for moving towards the green economy. It's not an option, it's a must, because Egypt now is almost like 110, 115 million as a population, and it's increasing rapidly. So we have been thinking as a country for maybe the last 75 years to how to reduce the normal energy which is causing lots of pollution, and we started by adding different renewable energy resources like the hydroelectric power through the dam, especially the high dam, which was built in the 70s, and then over the 80s and the 90s we started increasing the wind farms and so. And over maybe the last 30 years, Egypt went heavily towards using the natural gas, which is definitely like kind of a transition period before we move completely to the green economy.
Right. Probably people or companies are not very much aware. No, we're not talking about Egypt, we're talking about different countries like China, for example. They don't have that awareness of the how important is the keeping the balance of the ecosystem and preserving the endangered species, and not resorting to any other energy like except the renewable energy. And throughout all this knowledge of preserving the environment and talking about sustainable development, they really don't care. They only care about achieving money and economic greed. Yeah. And this is what's causing climate change. And this is what is keeping behind our development here in Egypt and all other countries in the world towards reaching our goal and achieving a green economy. How could it be able to effect some agreement, or probably international community would effect laws, international laws that should make them abide by those laws?
Actually, if we talk about the international agreements, we have to understand by now, we are in 2026, we have to understand that these agreements actually are not forcing what we call the industrial countries, especially China and the United States, and some other European countries as well included somehow in this issue. It does not really force them that much to follow the agreement. And it's quite obvious that the United States and China, they are the first not to sign or to withdraw from any of these agreements concerning the climate change or the pollution and so on. And they are actually behind maybe more than 50 to 60% of the pollution caused on the planet. But Egypt has a different vision. Maybe we can talk thoroughly about it.
Of course, Egypt has a different vision, and that's why 2026 is considered as a pivotal year for us to shift towards green economy. And this was mentioned on several accounts by the Prime Minister and also by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. The government is keen on reaching its goals or making a leap through 2026.
Yes.
How do you read those statements?
Well, I think that Egypt actually is moving heavily now towards the green economy, but let's explain what does mean by moving towards the green economy. What do we mean by this? Because it's like
that's a good thought.
The green economy actually is focusing on using the green hydrogen, and the green hydrogen is very clean source of energy, and the way we produce the green hydrogen is through using other renewable resources like the wind farms, the solar energy, and so on. So the process from A to Z actually does not harm the environment. So this is number one. The green hydrogen is simply that we know the water is two elements. One is hydrogen, the other one is oxygen. So it's about splitting the hydrogen from the oxygen in this healthy and environmental safe way. So Egypt, as I said before earlier on with you today, that maybe during the last 30 years Egypt moved heavily towards using the wind farms. We can easily visit areas like the Red Sea coast, not far from Cairo, and from Cairo to Safaga and Hurghada, all along the coast we have the wind farms. And every time I go there I find that it's increasing. So this is what Egypt is doing now, increasing all the resources available, including the solar power. There is a project about the solar energy in Egypt, encouraging individuals and also landowners to use more of the solar system, energy, and they are linking what they are producing to the national network of electricity, so they can reduce their costs and they reduce also the electricity use on monthly basis. So it's a win-win situation. See, this is one of the things that the government is doing at the moment.
That is excellent, but actually right now at this phase it's a little bit costly, so it's not implemented on everywhere, but in the very near future it's going to be viral throughout the governance. But also talking about Egypt location, and it's on the map, how it is very important that it is fit for everything agriculturally, climate-wise. When we talk about politically also, that geopolitical location is allowing it to have a diversification of options when it comes to exactly the sustainable development goals and energy, sustainable energy. We have the wind, we have the sand, we also could get energy. We have all you name. Even with the modern technology, you can also get energy from the recycling. So how important is it for Egypt to embark and invest on all those privileges?
Okay, this is a very complicated question. We can actually divide the answer into different areas. Number one, how does Egypt benefit from using this clean energy, the green energy? Number one, if we look at the location of Egypt, it has been always in the center of the old world and the whole world today. So it allows Egypt to produce and sell this energy to the rest of the world. So this is number one. But before we talk about sharing this energy which is produced in Egypt in the future, soon future inshallah, we have to mention how does Egypt benefit from producing this energy within Egypt on two levels. Number one, economically. Number two, environmentally. Environmentally, definitely in a country where we have like more than 110 million living, we need urgently to reduce the carbon dioxide which is produced through the normal and old sources of energy. This is number one. And that will be reflected on different areas. One of them is tourism. Because when we look at tourism, Egypt is a tourist destination, and one of maybe the elements which is putting off many of the tourists coming to visit Egypt is the pollution. They put this into consideration. Exactly. So if we actually making the environment cleaner, that will encourage more tourists to come and visit Egypt. Again, economically, when we are focusing on building modern new projects for producing this source of energy, so definitely we need to work on the infrastructure. Infrastructure means more labor to work in these projects, more investment coming from within Egypt or from outside Egypt for an investment and so on. So that will stimulate the Egyptian economy in a way or another. So we actually win from the economic growth and from the tourism growth as well. Beside what we are going to gain later on in the near future when we are producing this energy and exporting it to the rest of the world.
We need to look over economic and environmental impacts with large-scale projects like Ras Gharib and Gulf of Suez Canal, yes, which is really one of the promising projects that are going to take us to a whole new level.
Yes, as I said earlier on, it's about the wind farms that implemented in these areas, and this area is very famous for not only this area but also across the Red Sea in Sinai. This area actually is very famous for the very strong wind, and it's one of the most suitable places for creating this source of energy. And as I said, over maybe the last 10-15 years, Egypt is working heavily on increasing the number of wind farms in this area. And as I said before, every time you go, like every year, let's say you go once a year, you'll find that these farms are increasing. And that will be reflected definitely on, as I said, the investment in the infrastructure or in the tourism. So Egypt will definitely gain on both sides.
How could the relation between developing projects like that, promising projects like that, and the direct investment and private sector engagement, which is very important also, could be able to be relevant altogether? How can we just let all those projects go together? In other words, what could be the relationship between increasing and expanding those renewable energy projects and also investing or expanding the foreign direct investment and also with the private sector engagement?
Okay, first of all, if we are going to talk about the investment in these projects, they are huge projects. These are like kind of national projects. So the government should do its share by providing the infrastructure, the land and the infrastructure for this project, and building roads, building transportation, building and so on. And when the government is planning to do so, the government is not doing it through its own self, but actually is giving the options to the private construction companies to implement these projects, the infrastructure and so on. So this is like Egyptian investment, Egyptian money, Egyptian companies and so on. And for the rest of the projects like building the farms and so on and working on exporting them, we can actually use the experience of the international companies. They already have been in this field for many years. They are ahead of us in this area, so we can actually learn from them. So we are inviting them to invest in Egypt. How could we encourage them? Because let's say if I were an investor coming from another European country and I would like to invest in Egypt or from one of the Arab world, what does encourage me to put my huge amount of money to invest in Egypt? What
That's a good question.
What do I need? Number one, I need stability, okay, which is the government reflecting now. The stability in the decision making, which means that when the government is taking a decision concerning the investment, it does not change it over 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 or 20 years or even 50 years. It's a long-term decision. So as an investor, I feel that stability. I feel that there is a stable environment in this country, so I can feel free to put my money. And the Egyptian banks, they give much better rate than any other banks.
Not anymore.
Still, because if we compare, still. But anyway, I mean, it's a good environment for foreign investment to be brought to Egypt.
Right. At the same time, we do not forget also, we mind the renovation and also modernizing our investment laws and facilitating
Yes.
the procedures. The one-stop shop that was taken and implicated according to directives of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and logistical areas, and all that are very promising macro projects that are encouraging
Yes.
the foreign investment. But also talking about the long-term investor confidence that you talked about, need more policies and need more thinking or observation of successful experiences from other countries. Sometimes there are successful experiences that are not fit for our country, but there are others that are fit. So I mean, this is a policy in its own right. Do you agree or no? Should we borrow experiences?
I definitely agree. We have to learn from people. We have to start from where they finished. I mean, we don't have to start from scratch. There is no harm of learning from others through their experience. And we pay for this experience, obviously. I mean, they are ahead of us 10, 20, 30, 50 years, whatever, so we can pay for this. We can pay for this through giving them share of the profit. They need also to make a profit. My point is, Egypt has to put a plan. I believe it's there. We have applied this for many years in other sectors of industries and so on, like car assembling factories, for example. The agreement between the government and the foreign companies, if the company, let's say like BMW, if they would like to open a factory in Egypt, so the agreement should be, I'm not talking exactly in numbers, but as an example, if we talk about, let's say 10 or 20 years agreement, so the BMW will start with, let's say, 80% German components, 20% Egyptian components, and the number of workers will be 20% Egyptians and so on, and the number will increase over the years until we reach, at the end of this contract, by 10 years or 20 years and so on, the majority of the workers, the majority of the experience, the majority of the spare parts and so on will be Egyptians.
And this is what exactly have been happening throughout 2025, almost 3 or 4 agreements, economic agreements were taken and were announced by His Excellency Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Mbouli with the Chinese company, with the German company,
Yes.
not in the field of automobile, but other companies also. 2 of them were automobile, and from the industrial area it was announced, where there was a live conference where the Prime Minister announced that there were industrial agreements that were signed in the same sense that you are talking about, with totally with the clean energy.
Yes.
So how do you think that expanding renewable energy will reduce Egypt's carbon footprint?
No, it will work very, very well for reducing.
How could we achieve that?
It will be achieved over a number of years. It does not happen,
of years.
Of course.
Do you think we have already taken
Yes,
some
yes, of course. All these steps, as I said, over the last 30 years at least, Egypt moved heavily towards using natural gas.
And better than other power countries.
I mean, yes, definitely.
Establishing industrial areas, separating them from the heavily populated areas is one
This one of the
successful.
things, yes, definitely, yes. I mean, if we look at Egypt, the Egyptian map, for example, or the map of Cairo, let's say 60 or 70 years ago, we find that the factories were built within the capital. Now they are completely moved to other remote destinations. But also the energy itself. I mean, if we look at these factories, most of them, they are using natural gas. and electricity and electricity produced by hydroelectric power and so on. So all this like clean energy. Most of the taxis running around Cairo, they are also equipped with natural gas tanks and so on, reducing also the emission of carbon dioxide and so on.
At this point, would like to thank you so much, Dr. Hisham Meniawy, the Sustainable Development Expert. Thank you so much for coming over, and all the best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
And we're going to go to a short break, and we'll come to continue the show, so stay with us.